It's crunch time in the championship for Lewis Hamilton. He basically needs to win all 4 remaining Grand Prix and the sprint in Las Vegas to stand a chance of becoming world champion. That's just to close the gap on Max Verstappen, who leads George Russell by just 6 points in the standings. Good news for Lewis though, we're going to Texas where he is fantastic. What's up folks, welcome back to AHGP, welcome back to F1 Manager. I'm Aaron, I'm managing Mercedes and we are gearing up for the United States Grand Prix in Texas, a circuit where Lewis Hamilton has a tremendous record of podiums and wins. But he does have a problem in the Drivers' Championship. As I pointed out in the intro, he is 52 points behind. He needs to outscore Max Verstappen by about 13 points a round to overhaul Verstappen's advantage. That's notwithstanding Russell catching the Dutchman either. So that equates to winning every race and the sprint in Vegas. And even then, it still might not even be enough. So Hamilton needs to win today to keep his championship hopes alive. If he doesn't, then we are putting all of our support behind George Russell for the final 3 races. We're starting in Texas this run into the end of the season and we look pretty decent. So low speed is second and high speed is fourth, and they're both crucial around COTA. So yeah, I think we're going to get stuck straight into practice. You won't see that. You will see Q3 though. George Russell, by the way, will be taking a grid penalty though today for his power unit. So he'll have some fun coming through the field. I'm going to go to practice, see you in qualifying. Practice done and dusted then, and the first thing to note before we start qualifying is that it's raining, so hence the coat. Not too much rain at the moment, but first of all we need to give George Russell some new power unit parts. We're not going to give him a new gearbox because that's okay at the moment. I think we could probably get through with those as we are. So we're going to give him a new ERS and we're going to give him a new engine and a new ICE. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's $5 million dues. Yeah, so we're going to incur a grid penalty. Understood. And talking of grid penalties, there are grid penalties amongst top drivers. So Fernando Alonso is taking a grid drop. Charles Leclerc is taking a grid drop. And crucially, Max Verstappen is as well. You know, in the previous episode, I showed you that screen about the power units and when they start to lose their power. And obviously Red Bull had an earlier threshold for losing power. Max Verstappen taking another grid penalty. So I think that shows you what's going on with the Red Bull powertrain. Lewis Hamilton will put the freshest components into his car, and then we'll just crack on with qualifying. I think we'll be good to get into Q3. Hopefully there are no hiccups along the way. And yeah, I'll see you in Q3. We've got 97 and 98% car setup confidence. So everything is looking good for Mercedes at the moment. Q3 then, we were second and third in Q2. And it has been raining on and off through the session. And as you can see here, we've got rain towards the end. So it is going to be a one and done for qualifying. We were quicker than Red Bull in Q2. Just going to follow Verstappen out. There goes the Dutchman. There goes Lewis Hamilton. There goes George Russell. Let's follow Lewis Hamilton, who is the car behind Max Verstappen. He might get some sort of slipstream from the Dutchman on the straights. Keep an eye out on the sectors up there. Perez, of course, does the fastest of anybody so far as the first man to complete the first sector. Lewis Hamilton through the S's. Verstappen fastest of anyone so far in that first sector. But remember, he has a grid penalty, a yellow flag there for a moment. It was Sainz running wide in the Ferrari. Hamilton then down the back straight at COTA. What's the middle sector going to look like for us? Verstappen is purple everywhere, but Hamilton is quicker than Verstappen in the middle sector. That's interesting. Right, Perez sets the benchmark. It is a 33.1. Max Verstappen will be coming across the line any time now. There he goes. He'll go to the top of the times on a 32.5. Lewis Hamilton goes fastest for Mercedes. Fantastic lap from Lewis Hamilton. George Russell only 4th fastest. With his grid penalty, it doesn't really matter. The rain did start to fall right at the end of the lap. Albon's up in 5th. Leclerc and Sainz are slow. Leclerc does go 3rd. Ocon's got himself up to 4th. Amazing effort. He's ahead of Perez. But Lewis Hamilton, he was denied pole last year's, season 1's episode at COTA. But this time, he's done the business. He has pole position in a race he has to win. The grid drop message of doom. It is 19 places for George Russell. He'll start last on the grid. Right, I've decided on starting on softs with Lewis Hamilton, then going to the mediums and finishing on the hards. Although actually I'm thinking about it now, I'm actually going to switch those around. Not wets. Won't be needing those. So we'll finish on the mediums, which means we can actually go a bit further into the race there. Let's go 14 and 39. Yeah, we'll go like 39. I'm not going on aggressive on any of these strategies because the tyres just will wear out. For George, it's going to be starting on mediums, going a bit deeper into the race to start with, switch to hards, and then finishing on the softs. I've underfueled, so hopefully that helps the tyre wear, also helps our pace early on. Lewis needs to build a gap from pole position, and we'll find out where everybody else starts. So let's do a motor race. It is a must-win race for Lewis Hamilton. And look at the two Williams there in 4th and 6th. I think Verstappen is right at the back. The lights are out and the race is on. Hard tyres on the Alpine to start. And Perez is immediately going to get himself into 2nd position. Verstappen is 17th. Russell has already jumped up to 19th. That's a good start from George. Perez is the Red Bull right behind us. And of course he won the last race in Abu Dhabi. The wrong driver winning. So let's see if we can pull away from the Red Bull, which it looks like we are doing in the opening stages. Being underfueled will be helping that. If we can get a nice big gap on, maybe not Ocon, but Williams and Piastri, and Sainz doesn't block us up too much, then we could be very well set for a good good opening stint here. Going around the outside of Alonso, and I think that might be a position. Or not quite. Oh, it is. Into the S's. George Russell makes the move stick, and he's now right behind Verstappen. The aim is finish ahead of Verstappen. And the fact that we're now right behind him makes that more tangible. If he was starting sort of 9th or 10th because he hadn't had such a grid drop, then yeah, it would have been a bit more difficult. But we're just going to... I thought we were sending it on Verstappen. What has Verstappen done tyre-wise? He's on a set of hards, so he's going even further into this race. We've got a lot of hard runners here in the top 10. A position gained for George Russell because there's been a crash involving multiple cars. It is Max Verstappen involved. He's bumped with a Haas, and Russell wiggles his way through. And the Red Bull has damage to its front wing, which hands Russell the position. Hamilton's doing a fantastic job on his tyres. Perez must be stopping much earlier than we are. Russell attaches himself to the back of this DRS train. Hopefully we can find a way through. I'm going to turn... Oh, he's already on medium. Hamilton, I think, is on high for overtake aggression. We've opened up nearly 11 seconds to Ocon, which is great. Right, Lewis into the pit lane, and he's followed by Perez. So the way this works, I mean, I think we might actually get held up by Perez. We will lose the lead, yeah. Well, their stops are probably a little bit quicker. And also, as soon as they release the car, we have to be held, which is very annoying. Where are we going to pop out? Side by side with George Russell, in fact. Perez comes out ahead of the two McLarens, and we've come out behind. Those are the small details that races hinge on. We're going to deploy. We'll get some DRS off the papaya cars. I'm going to get Lewis to drive in clean air and hopefully just go straight past Lando Norris. The fact that we're going to get some DRS will help us, and we'll just zoom straight up to the back of Perez, which will be fabulous. Alright, we've successfully passed the two McLarens, but we are now 2 seconds behind Perez, who has caught the back of Carlos Sainz. Let's see what he's doing with tyres. He's gone to mediums, so actually I won't be surprised to see Perez pull away at this stage, but he'll pit earlier and he'll have to go to hards. We need to top up the battery with Lewis at some point. So we're actually in a good position here. The race, like in Qatar, hopefully will come to us as Russell goes past Piastri, who's on hards. Russell approaching his pit stop window, so it's coming together nicely for us. Perez has moved himself back up to second and I think is about to take the lead, as Hamilton there, you can see, goes past Carlos Sainz. If we can dispatch Stroll before Perez gets too far ahead, or even ahead of Ocon, then it's game on at the front. In fact, Perez has just taken the lead. So the Red Bull has a chance to pull away, but we will probably catch it towards the end of the race. Well, a problem for us at the moment is Perez has got through this pair and we have not. We've lost now over 5 seconds to the Red Bull in the lead because we're not able to find a way past, primarily because they've both got DRS. We're going to find a way through here. Let's go on board with Lewis. Into the braking zone. Oh no! Oh my gosh! I had a minor heart attack there. I was absolutely certain that was contact. I just don't think the game displayed it particularly well. George Russell is coming in for a pit stop. We are now through with Lewis Hamilton, which means we can attack Ocon. We've lost 7 seconds though to Perez, stuck in all of this. Verstappen has pitted and is tumbling down the order. He's actually going to come out just in front of the Alfa Romeos there. Lewis Hamilton started to close the gap a bit on Perez. They matched each other last time around. Russell, he was chasing Stroll, but the Aston Martin has started to pull away. The Stroll is on softs, so that would explain that. Norris is on mediums there, so we'll catch him and then we'll make the overtake. Hamilton and Perez across the line now. Hamilton 0.3 quicker than the Red Bull, so that gap is starting to come down. Just checking in with Max Verstappen because I was just looking through the order and he's a long way behind Leclerc, who had got ahead of him on track, but Red Bull changed the front wing for him, so that's why he's fallen so far back. George Russell, I've asked him to deploy to get away from Lando Norris, but Leclerc is catching him pretty quickly. Leclerc did a 36.4 last time around, so the Ferrari could be a bit of a pain in the bottom for us, but in fact Leclerc will be going to softs for the final stint, as will George Russell, so we might need to just keep this Ferrari behind us. Still a long way to go until we pit. 10 laps, if not more. Verstappen now into the points as Leclerc takes P5 from George Russell. So George Russell has actually got himself back ahead of Charles Leclerc. They've been scrapping away, as you can see, for the last few laps. They're just chopping and changing as and when the DRS zones pop up. But we have started to reel Lance Stroll in at the front. Hamilton just took a second out of Perez, so the gap is now just over 3 seconds. Ocon behind on mediums is starting to catch the pair as well, who did a 38.8. So Perez losing a lot of speed at the moment because his tyres are pretty second hand. Max Verstappen in the other Red Bull is only in 8th. We are looking very, very strong here with Lewis Hamilton. It's a race he needs to win. And if Verstappen finishes like 7th or 8th in this race, that's a massive chunk taken out of Verstappen's advantage over him. He closes the gap on Russell pretty significantly too, although I would expect George Russell to finish on the podium in this race from the position he's in at the moment. I think we're looking pretty good. Gap 3 seconds at the front, 6 laps until Lewis pits, but Perez will get a pretty healthy undercut on us on those hards, so it'll be about making sure the mediums go the distance and we're fast enough. So what I might just get Lewis to do is top up the battery for a couple of laps. Perez is in now. He'll go to hards. Surely he doesn't have another set of mediums. There are the hards. It's a sluggish stop as well for Red Bull. Where is Perez going to pop out in all of this? He might even be behind his teammate. He is not, but he is behind the Ferraris and George Russell, so they can do a bit of a spoiler job on the Red Bull. Although fresh tyres versus old tyres on this game, you know what the end result will be. George Russell is fighting with Verstappen now, in fact. He has lost a little bit of pace here, has George. Leclerc has got clear of him, as has Perez. Hamilton hasn't opened up quite the gap I was hoping for. So we will box him now for mediums. We've still got some fuel to conserve, but I'm sure that will come. Russell is probably about to fall behind Verstappen's Red Bull. Hamilton. It's a good stop. 3/10 quicker than I think it was Russell's that we had at 3 seconds before. But he's going to pop out ahead of Lance Stroll. Some clear air to attack. The gap to Russell is 5 seconds. It's about 7 seconds to 7.5 seconds to Perez. So Leclerc now leads this race, having started on the back row of the grid, and he could be a threat in the final stages because soft tyres against older mediums, there's only going to be one winner there. He's going to jump into the pit lane, as is Verstappen. What does the Dutchman put on? He's putting on a set of softs. That's going to be worrying. So Verstappen could still win this race. What's the lead for Perez? Now less than 6 seconds. But Verstappen's got a lot of cars to overtake, as does George Russell. Progress being made by George Russell. He's passed Ocon. He's passed Sainz. He's passing Lance Stroll. He's forced him off the track there. All right, George Russell has caught the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, which has dropped 2.5 seconds back from Max Verstappen. So I think we will be going past the Ferrari in a moment when we get DRS on the back straight. So I'm going to get George to drive in clean air now. We will also deploy the battery. DRS open for George Russell and a position gained for George Russell. So now we've got 3 seconds to make up to the Red Bull. Hamilton has conserved all the fuel he needs and is just 1 second behind Sergio Perez with 5 laps remaining. So the win is absolutely on. Verstappen not closing us down quickly enough to be a threat for the win. Hamilton is in a wonderful position here. Perez is looking after his tyres. We'll do the same with Hamilton. We'll top up the battery and make sure that we get to the end. Russell probably needs to do something similar in tyre conservation. Perez already moving around on the straights, trying to break the slipstream. It is just a matter of time. So maybe we do it on the pit straight and then use the S's to just disappear. Here we go then. Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the American Grand Prix with DRS up the hill into turn 1. Down the inside. Job done for Lewis Hamilton. Now we'll push and we'll deploy. That's the lead of the race for Lewis.
This is awesome work, Lewis.
It is indeed awesome work, Lewis. Hamilton takes the position. Nicely done. A classic inside line braking or outbraking manoeuvre into turn 1 in Texas. and we are clearing off. Leclerc actually giving Russell some bother. Can we get Russell to catch Verstappen? He's at less than 50% tyres. Don't think we're going to quite get there. Frustrating considering we were ahead at one point, but the Red Bull had good pace once it fixed the front wing. So yeah, we'll lose, what is that, another 3 points to Verstappen, so the lead will now be 9. A yellow flag, and it's gone. Gasly with a lock-up. Yeah, Perez, I think it will be safe in second position. But we need to make sure George Russell finishes 4th at worst. And we can relax because we can check in with Lewis Hamilton now, who's opened up a 5.5 second lead. We've played this strategy perfectly. Perez didn't have an answer once we caught him. And Lewis Hamilton, he's got the result that he needed. It's not the big chunk of points out of Verstappen's lead that he needs, but it's a win for Lewis Hamilton in Texas once again. George Russell comes home in 4th position, which isn't too bad considering he started at the back of the grid. Annoyingly, this guy extends his lead again, but only 9 points. That is very salvageable over the next 3 races and 1 sprint. Celebrations at Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton into Parc Fermé, the winner. He'll be going up onto that podium, onto the top step. It's his 5th win of the season. And lots of high fives in the Mercedes garage. He's joined there by 2 Red Bulls who don't look particularly pleased to be there. But we're pleased to be there. Lewis Hamilton hoists the trophy above his head. And now it's time for our favourite thing, confetti and champagne. 2 things we love the most at Mercedes. The Red Bull drivers look a little bit more happy now. Maybe they like confetti and champagne too. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't like confetti and champagne? Victory is also something that we like. And the celebrations continue in the Mercedes garage. But let's head to our debrief. George Russell actually got the fastest lap, so Verstappen only gained 2 points on him. And considering 2 of these cars started at the back of the grid, the fact that we've locked out the top 4 positions tells you just how quick Mercedes and Red Bull are. Shades of 2021 here. Drivers' Championship then. It is an 8-point lead for Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton is now 42 points behind. He took 10 points out of Verstappen's lead, so yeah, he still needs to win all the races, but this is the perfect way for him to start. So we're not going to be putting him sort of as the number 2 driver. Very weird to be considering Lewis Hamilton as a number 2 driver. Usually it would be the other way round, but it's still game on for the championship. But if Hamilton, basically, as soon as Hamilton doesn't win a race, he's backing George for the title. And especially if Verstappen's going to win and Russell needs to finish second, we're going to start using team orders. Constructors' Championship, we opened up 5 points on Red Bull. 676 plays 642. I mean, Ferrari are there on 380, Aston Martin on 210. AlphaTauri still haven't scored a point this season. Yeah. Maybe once we've completed Mercedes, we go and take over one of this lot and get them some points and some joy. But there's joy right now because Lewis Hamilton is still in the title fight thanks to winning the United States Grand Prix. And if you enjoyed that winning feeling, make sure you give the video a nice big thumbs up. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe for more F1 Manager content. Thank you very much for watching. You're the best, fans. I'll see you in Mexico for the next round. So goodbye for now.